Geauga Bombers against the West Geauga Wolverines in a game of CVC football. Kenston comes in with a record of 3-4. West Geauga is 1-6. And here to bring us up to date on what's going on with these respective teams, my colleagues John Walsh and Mick Naruge.
Thank you, Joe. West Geauga comes in tonight, as Joe said, at 1-6. That first win was their opening game of the season. They're trying to stop that 6-game winning streak or losing streak tonight. They're going to come at them probably straight ahead, run off the running of John Julian, the tailback. Passing should be stopped because we have a considerable rain that's been coming down for about the last 20 minutes at the field. So that should slow down the air attack, and hopefully it's going to be a power football game where the people just can hold on to the football, keep their feet with the short steps underneath them going. I'll turn it over to Mick to talk about Chagrin.
Thanks, John. Kenston Bombers are going to be coming into the game, and I think they're going to be working on the strength, which is defense. I look for them to be very tough on West Geauga as far as in the outside running, and this is really compounded by the field condition. I'm sure Coach Kabbalah wants them to, get the ball in good field position, create turnovers, and let the offense do their thing. Offensively, Kenston's very deep in running backs. They have 3 fine fullbacks with Tewksbury, Lurch, and Breeden. And I also saw him warming up Haydu today also, who's normally a guard. And then, of course, they can go with speed with the pro set using Kenny McClintock and Tony Rhea. So I look for Kenston to put on a very good show tonight. There's going to be a lot of power football because of the field condition, and it's going to boil down probably who makes the least amount of mistakes and who can maintain the ball. At this point, I'll turn it back to Joe.
The West Geauga Wolverines of Mike Poshguy with a conference record of no victories and 4 defeats. The Kenston Bombers of Paul Kabbalah, 2 wins and 2 losses at CBC play. West Geauga is pretty much out of the picture there as far as any potential conference championship is concerned, but they'd like nothing better than to spoil any possibility that Kenston has for any outside shot at the title. We're just about set to go here at Powell Field in Chesterland, Ohio, and I believe the toss was won by Kenston. Kenston won the toss, and they'll be moving from left to right across the television screen here in the first half. West Geauga will be kicking off to Kenston, and of course it'll be Tom Richards doing the kicking for West Geauga. Moving back deep to receive for Kenston. Take this opening kickoff is number 44, Ken McClintock. Also number 16, a man who's impressed us a great deal this season, Darren Walker. And also number 22, Tony Rhea. And it should be a very interesting ball game. Last week, of course, we had Kenston on the CVC Cable Visit Geauga Times Leader Game of the Week, and they turned in a 12-0 victory over Chagrin Falls. Probably their most impressive performance of the year, and they're going to try once again to do that sort of a thing tonight. West Geauga, as John Walsh mentioned before, trying to halt a 6-game losing streak after an impressive opening victory over Mentor. It's been all downhill for the West Geauga Wolverines. They'd like to turn things around and finish their last 3 games of the season on a positive note. And once again, we have a slight delay here as we're getting set for the opening kickoff. Field conditions, of course, are very, very treacherous. As you can see, it's been raining heavily here. It's still raining heavily. It has been raining heavily for quite a while, most of the late part of the afternoon here in Chesterland. And footing is going to be treacherous, and it's going to create a lot of interesting things for the game. Of course, if you've seen games on these sort of fields or played in them, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, we're all set to go. Tom Richards' kickoff is a high, short kick. Walker runs under at the 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and out to the 43-yard line of Kenston where he has a first down. First and 10 for the Bombers.
There's a gentleman we haven't talked about yet, and that's Darren Walker. He's got state-class sprinter speed, and you saw it right there. And he's going to be running out of the flanker tonight, so we'll have to keep an eye on him because wide receivers tonight are definitely going to have an advantage on pass rush.
First and 10 for Kenston. And at the quarterback is David Duross. Duross hands the ball to, let's see, I think that was Ken McClintock. I'm not sure. We'll have to check again. No, it wasn't. It was Bob Lurch. Bob Lurch, number 36, the ball carrier, and he got up across the 45 out to, let's call it the 48-yard line. Paul Powers made the tackle. It'll be second down and 4 for the Kenston Bombers.
Yeah, that was an amazing play. West Geauga had 3 defenders holding on to him, and their feet just kept slipping out from underneath them. It's going to be tough to bring down somebody with sure footing tonight.
Second and 4 for Kenston, and the give is to McClintock, the tailback, and he's ridden down for no gain. Number 54, Paul Powers, once again in on the play for West Geauga. Also number 19, Chris Veras. No gain on the play. In fact, actually, he lost the yard. It'll be third and 5 for the Kenston Bombers back at the 47.
Yeah, Paul Powers is playing that end position rather well tonight. He's mobile. He's taking the short little chopping steps to get himself down the line, keep his position held, and so far he's doing a good defensive stop for West Geauga.
Third and 5 for the Kenston Bombers. Walker in the slot left. Duross is back to throw, and he's thrown down immediately. David Duross sacked there by number 36, Nick Lorenzo. It'll be fourth down, and the Kenston Bombers, after a good gain by Lurch on first down, move backward in the mud, and they will be forced to give us the ball game's first punt, and of course Darryl Wodecki will do the kicking.
Yeah, it was a gutsy call by Coach Postguy. He's sending his linebacker Lorenzo blitzing on the play on a night when you don't know if Kenston's going to be airing the ball down or not. They had run a play over his vacant spot. It could be a big game for Kenston. Worked out to West G's advantage, though.
Mike Mazurko, number 17. John Julian, number 30, deep to receive the punt, and Wodecki barely gets it away. It's a high sailing kick. Mazurko calls for a fair catch, but he'll never get a chance to field the ball. It rolls about 5 yards in front of him, and then finally rolls dead at the West Geauga 28-yard line. So a punt by Darryl Wodecki of about 30 yards, 32 yards, let's make it. It'll be first and 10 for West Geauga at the West Geauga 28-yard line.
Yeah, gentlemen, I think tonight the kicking game is going to be very critical, and we'll have to keep close tabs on which team is gaining the most yards on their punting.
First and 10 for West G. Mike Mazurko comes wide to the right, number 17. Tight to the left is Blasey. In the slot right is Richards, and the give is to Julian. Julian taken out to about the 30-yard line. Stopped there by Bob Lurch and Steve Cornacchione. Gain of about 2 on the play. Let's call it second and 8 for West Geauga, up around the West G 30-yard line.
Yeah, I'm expecting Julian to carry a ball on occasion, but for the most part, this is a night for fullbacks. We just got the power, short-legged runner who gets out there, keeps the feet underneath him, hits the line quicker, because he doesn't have to worry about traction quite as much. So I'm looking for Moore and Lorenzo to get a lot of carries tonight.
Second down, let's call it 8 yards to go, and the give is to Nick Lorenzo, I believe. No, that's Tom Richards, sorry. I believe it was. Now I'll have to check again. No, I was right the first time. It's Nick Lorenzo. Nick Lorenzo down at the 31-yard line. Actually, let's call it the 32, a gain of 2. It'll be third and 6 for West G at the West G 32-yard line.
I think you're going to start having your problems later with jersey numbers when the mud gets on the back of them. You should have made that blown call there, Joe.
Yeah, I had no excuse for that one. I have an idea I'll have plenty of excuses later in the game. Greg Craddock, of course, is the quarterback. He has Quinlan coming in motion right. Tight to the left is Blasey. And the pitch back to Julian, and Julian fumbles the pitch. It was a bad pitch by Greg Craddock. He couldn't handle it. Julian did the smart thing, fell on the ball, but he has to take a loss all the way back to the 24-yard line of West G. It'll be fourth and forever, and Mick Dwyer will come on to punt for the Wolverines.
Yeah, like Joe said, Julian did a good job just covering the ball. This is a night when your fancy little pitches and stuff like that, you should almost shelf that playbook for those particular ones. And the pitch was bad. It was behind Julian.
Mick Dwyer will punt deep to receive. Tony Rhea, number 22, and also number 85, Phil Vaughn for Kenston. They're standing around the Kenston 40-yard line. Dwyer gets a low driving kick, hits it about the 45, rolls inside the 40, and it will roll dead as it reaches the Kenston 36-yard line. So not a pretty punt by Mick Dwyer, but a very effective one. It traveled 40 yards with no return. First and 10 for Kenston at the Kenston 36-yard line.
Joe, I think keeping tallies on the punters right away. We're just about even between the two kickers at this point. And again, we'll keep tabs on it.
First and 10, the 36-yard line. Walker comes wide to the left. Tight to the left is Wodecki. Tight to the right is Andy Gerd. And the give is to Ken McClintock. McClintock with a big hole, 50, 45. He may go all the way. And there he goes. Ken McClintock, the sophomore sensation from Kenston for a touchdown. 64 yards on the first play after the punt, and Kenston takes a quick 6-0 lead.
Beauty, eh, Joe? Just a quick dive off left tackle. It's a quick hitting play. The linebacker inside was caught out of position. The wide receivers cleared out the cornerback and the safety, and it was just a beautiful foot race for Kenny McClintock.
Yeah, I think that was the case when Lorenzo was shooting in on that play. That was an occasion where they caught him dead in it, and there was no linebacker to stop him. He was gone.
Darryl Wodecki will attempt the extra point, and the hold is number 12, Jim Klimo. And the ball is down. It's a low snap. Wodecki gets to it, and he's lucky he even got to the ball at all, and it was blocked immediately. It was blocked out there by, let's see who that was, number 77 that was, Scott Dabrowski, who blocked the ball. And it still remains 6-0 Kenston.
Yeah, Kenston really had no shot on that particular one. The snap was real low, and it's tough to pick a ball clean out of the air on a wet night like this, much less pick one off the ground.
6 minutes, 53 seconds to play here in the first quarter at Howell Field in Chesterland, Ohio, at West Geauga High School. And Ken McClintock's 64-yard touchdown run has given Kenston a 6-0 lead over West Geauga. We're getting set to go here. Darryl Wodecki again will kick off. Deep to receive for West Geauga. It's John Quinlan far to the right. In the middle, John Julian, number 30. Quinlan is number 24. And on the far left side, number 17, Mike Mazurko. They will all be deep to receive this kickoff from Darryl Wodecki. And if anything, it's raining harder now than it was at the beginning of the ball game, and it was really raining hard enough to make things a mess then. It'll be interesting to see how the rain affects the play in this game. Believe me, it will not have a positive effect. It never does. Wodecki's kick is a hard driving kick. And it goes through the hands of Julian, rolls into and out of the end zone. It'll be a touchback. And on the touchback, West Geauga will take over the ball first and 10 at their own 20-yard line.
So Kenston's mission on this drive is, again, to shut them down in the first three plays, get the ball back in decent field position. And so we're going to have to keep an eye on Kenston's defense and see how aggressive those linebackers and the defensive line handles this situation.
West G comes out of the huddle first and 10. Wide to the left is Quinlan. Actually, he's in a slot. Wide to the right is Mazurko. Tight to the left is Blasey. In the slot right is John Julian. The lone setback is Nick Lorenzo, and the give is to Julian. Julian cuts the outside, gets a big hole, 25, out to about the 28-yard line. Knocked out of bounds there by Darren Walker. And it's a gain of about 8 yards on the play. It'll be second and 2 for West G at the West G 28.
That's a nice run by John Julian. This is the type of night you need the short, choppy little steps, which he had on that play. In other games we've seen Julian, he's got longer strides, so he's adjusted to the weather conditions, and consequently that's what you have to do to get the good games like that.
Second down, about 2 yards to go for West G. Quinlan is in the slot right. Lined up wide to the right side is Dave Sterlikar. Tight to the left is Blasey. And it's Lorenzo left and Julian right in the T behind Greg Craddock. The give is to Nick Lorenzo, and he's across the 30 out to about the 32-yard line, wrapped up there by Phil Vaughn. He picked up 4 yards, and that will be good for a first down for the West Geauga Wolverines.
It looks like Coach Postguy has already made an adjustment. West G came out of a formation where they had their backs up tight to the line. So essentially he's kind of operating out of a two fullback backfield where they're both set off in the halfback spots. It's the type of offense you need for this type of evening.
Mazurko comes wide to the left, tight to the right is Blasey, and the slot right is Quinlan. It's Julian left and Lorenzo right in the T. The give on the sweep to Julian, trying to cut to the outside. Can't get any interference in front of him. Andy Gerd, number 48, broke through the interference and cut him down, I believe, for a loss. Let's call it a loss of 2. It'll be second and 12 for West G back at the West G 30.
It's going to be tough sledding for West Geauga if they think they're going to run outside tonight, because Kenston is very strong in defending the run outside. compounded with the field conditions, what they're going to need to do is open up some quick hitters right up the middle.
Oh, yeah, they've got tremendous quickness and excellent lateral movement on a dry field, let alone a wet one, as you were saying, Mick. Wide to the left comes Quinlan. Wide to the right is Sterlikar. Rolling to throw is Craddock. Under heavy pressure, he fires over the middle, and it is incomplete and almost intercepted by Judah Herman. Now, Judah Herman is wearing number 58 tonight. In the past, he has worn number 20, but tonight he is wearing number 58. That's a number change, and it'll be third down.
Beautiful play by the sophomore. He, just before the snap, Kenston went into a little different defensive alignment, leaving him at middle linebacker by himself, and he picked up the running back coming through the line and just shaded him until the pass came and reacted. It was a perfect play.
West G ball, 3rd and 12 at the 30. Wide to the left comes Quinlan. Wide to the right is Mazurko. Tight to the left is Blasey. Lorenzo up and Julian back in the eye behind Greg Craddock. Craddock gives the ball to Julian, cutting over the right side, gets a block, gets out to about the 35-yard line, and he's thrown out of bounds there by a number of Kenston players. Not anywhere near the first down. He's still about 7 yards short of it. 4th and 7 for West G at the West G 35-yard line, and once again, Mick Dwyer will come on to punt for the Wolverines. Deep to receive once again, Darren Walker and Tony Rhea. Rhea sets up at about the 30-yard line. Walker drops about 4 or 5 yards in front of him. He's up around the 32, 33. Punt by Dwyer is a higher kick coming right down to... But they have the ball at 2nd and 11 at the 25-yard line, and the give is to Walker cutting to the outside, and Walker gets down inside the 15, down around the 10-yard line. He's knocked out of bounds by Bill Coates. And the speed of Darren Walker was very evident there. He is also a mutter, I'm afraid, and it's a first down for Kenston.
That's how you're going to get outside tonight. You run a little bit of, mix them up in the backfield, freeze those linebackers, have the ends pinching, and then run a counter back with that speed. And I'm sure we'll see that play again before the night's over.
Call it 1st and 10 at the 12-yard line of West G. Vaughn tight to the left, tight to the right is Wodecki. The give is to McClintock. There's the back man on the full house, and McClintock gets down inside the 10 to about the 8, maybe the 7. Stopped down there by Bill Coates. Call it a gain of 5. It'll be 2nd and 5 for Kenston at the West G 7.
Joe, could you think of a better offense than a power eye in these kind of field conditions?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No way. 2nd down, let's call it 5 yards to go. Tight to the left is Vaughn. Tight to the right is Wodecki. They're in the power eye once again, of course. The give is to the up man, Bob Lurch. And Bob Lurch gets down to maybe the 5-yard line, let's call it. Let's call it a gain of 2. Bring up 3rd and 3 for Kenston at the 5-yard line of West G.
Daryl Calera again was in on that tackle. He's playing a good, tough tackle position tonight. Has a good base underneath him. He's one of the juniors on West G's squad, which unfortunately there's not that many of them. Most of this is a seasoned senior squad. But Mr. Calera is getting good experience for next year. He'll be back in tough.
A lot of valuable playing time. 3rd and 3. Duras rolling to his right. 5. And he is down around the 2, possibly the 1. And he's in. It's a touchdown. They're going to call it a touchdown. He just barely made it in. And Kenston takes a 12-0 lead.
Yeah, I saw 3 of the Kenston players call a touchdown before the referee did. But I thought it was a motions ruling, but obviously they knew what they were talking about.
I think what they were motioning about is they wanted him to throw the ball because they were all open in the end zone. But good play by Dave.
David Duras is a very impressive young quarterback, and he's played well all year, at least when we've seen him. And he takes it in for a score right there, and Kenston takes the lead 12-0, and now the Bombers, who missed the extra point after their first touchdown, will go for 2. Wide to the right comes Walker, and they're in the power eye once again. Duras rolls to throw. Flags are down everywhere. Duras rolling to his right is knocked out of bounds at about the 4. Once again, there are flags all over the place. I have a feeling the penalty is against Kenston, which will mean that there will be no replay, of course, and it'll be 12-0. It is against Kenston for illegal motion. West Geauga, of course, will decline the penalty, and the score remains 12-0 in favor of the Kenston Bombers.
Okay, so far in this CBC system, it is boiled season. It's boiled down to a three-team race. It's between Chardon, Solon, who are tied undefeated at the top, and Wycliffe, who has one defeat this season. We'll have to see what happens. A big game going on this evening as we're watching this is Wycliffe at Chardon, and it's a case where they can both, Wycliffe gain an advantage. Either this will be the last shot for Wycliffe, or Chardon will have to do it next week against Solon. It's going to be a very, very good wind-down to a fine CBC season so far.
Of course, Wycliffe's loss, I believe, was to Solon in the first conference game of the season. So that should create a very interesting matchup. Of course, you'll be aware what the result of that is by the time you see this broadcast, and so will we, of course. And the kickoff comes down to John Julian. Julian, 20 out to about the 25-yard line. He's knocked down there by Judah Herman. And it'll be 1st and 10 for West G at the West G 25.
Judah Herman, again, a sophomore, shows just a heads-up and a nose for the football. He just is very aggressive, a coach's delight, and particularly on defense. And being only a sophomore, he's going to raise a lot of problems the next couple of years.
1st and 10 for the Wolverines to the 25. Wide to the right is Mazurko. In the slot right is number 37, Greg Sabraco, and the give is to Julian. Julian gets out to about the 28-yard line. He's stopped there by Bob Lurch, and once again a flag.
See, West Geauga clapping on it, but again, I didn't really see what it was unless it was a grab of a face mask.
They have no reason to clap because it's against them.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's against them. I must have thought it was a Kenston penalty at first, but the referees gave them a big surprise.
Well, I don't know, again, what that could have been. We'll have to wait and see what the sign is for the particular penalty call.
You know, the way that Bob Lurch, the senior, hit that guy, I think I know where Mr. Herman's getting some of his coaching from. That was a heck of a hit by Lurch.
And Bob Lurch is pretty hard-nosed, aggressive linebacker. This is a major penalty against West Geauga. Must be a clip. It'll take the ball all the way back to the 14-yard line. No, it's holding. They held on the play. The ball comes all the way back to the 14. Call it 1st down. Make it 21 yards to go for the West Geauga Wolverines. Wide to the left comes Sabraco. Wide to the right is Dave Sterlikar. Number 46 in the slot right is Julian. Craddock fumbles the snap, but I believe that either he or his center fell on it, and it will be 2nd down and forever.
Yeah, I think that was a case of the wet ball, because I watched that particular snap. The ball came up from the center and got into Craddock's hands. Craddock just couldn't hold it from the wet ball situation. It was young Van Horn who's making his first start of the evening at center tonight.
2nd down, loss of about another yard or so on the play. 2nd and 22 for the West Geauga Wolverines. Wide to the left comes Mike Mazurko. Wide to the right is Sabraco. Tight to the right is Blasey. Left in the T is Julian. Right is Nick Lorenzo. And the give is to Julian, cutting on the sweep to the outside. 15, 20, out to the 23-yard line. Knocked out of bounds by Darren Walker. It'll be 3rd down and long for West G.
Again, with the quality cornerbacks and safeties that Kenston has, it's very difficult to run outside. You may turn the corner, but you're going to see some company coming up very quick, and we've seen this in 3 other games this year, and it's a real credit to Darren Walker, Jeff McClintock, and Andy Gerd, who pretty much throw up the outside for Kenston.
3rd down, let's call it 12 to go for West G at the 23-yard line. Wide to the left is Sterlikar. Inside of him is Sabraco. Rolling to his left is Greg Craddock looking to throw. And now he pulls it down, 25, 30. If he beats Gerd, he gets the 1st down. He may have sneaked it out. He got just enough yardage, I believe, for a West G 1st down. It's 1st and 10 for the Wolverines. Let's call it the 36-yard line of West Geauga.
That was a nice run by Craddock. He got the ball to the outside, and he cuts it back into the middle field against the grain, which is how you get a good big play out of a particular play like that, cutting against the grain.
Good decision by Greg Craddock. He saw that room there and said, why in the heck should I throw the ball when I can run for a first down? First and 10 at the 36-yard line. Wide to the left comes Mazurko. Tight to the right is Blasey. Up in the eye is Lorenzo. Back is Julian. The give is to John Julian on the delay. And Julian breaks a couple of tackles. 35 breaks another. And he makes 4 yards out of what could have easily been a potential loss. It'll be second down. Let's call it 6 for West G.
Yeah, that was a nice run by Julian. It just kept his legs plugging. I think that was a case, though, of Kenston just having too many people in. They penetrated real well on that play, kind of locked up and tied each other up. But Julian just made a play out of it by keeping those legs moving. Good running.
Second down, let's call it 6. Wide to the left comes Sterlikar. In the slot left is Sabraco. Tight to the right is Blasey. And now it's Julian left and Lorenzo right in the T behind Greg Craddock. Craddock back to throw, steps up, fires over the middle, and it's underthrown, intended for Blasey at the 45-yard line, incomplete. It'll bring up third down.
Yeah, that was a very poor pass by Craddock. I don't know exactly what it was. Maybe it might have been the wet ball, slipped out of his hands, but it's thrown very low on just a 5-yard little dump.
West Geauga coaches had the right idea, and the play was there. It was just poorly executed. Third down, let's call it about 6 for the Wolverines at the 39-yard line. Wide to the right comes Sabraco. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Tight to the right is Blasey. Now Sabraco comes in motion left. Julian left. Lorenzo right in the T. Craddock rolling to his left to throw under heavy pressure. Dumps it off. It's caught by Julian. 45 out to the 47-yard line, and he has enough for a West G first down. First and 10 for West Geauga at the West G 47-yard line.
Yeah, this is a good little drive by West Geauga. Just the type they need to get back into this ball game. Got to control that ball. I still say it's a little dangerous to start putting that ball in the air because the rain still continues to come down. We had that little respite from it for just a few moments there, but it's just a messy, muddy field out there.
First and 10 at the 47-yard line. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Tight to the right is Blasey. That's Sterlikar wide to the left. Mazurko's in the slot. Back to throw. Craddock under heavy pressure. Rolling to the outside. Gets away from one man. Gets away from another. And he gets back to the line of scrimmage where he's forced out of bounds there by the younger brother of Ken McClintock. Or not the younger brother, the older brother of Ken McClintock, Jeff McClintock. And it'll be second down and 10.
I'll tell you, out by the sidelines, Matt Blasey, number 13, was standing wide open with nobody within 15 yards of him. I don't know how Craddock could miss seeing him. It was just amazing.
We can hear some of the West G coaches near us screaming, throw the ball, get rid of it.
I guess they saw Matt Blasey standing twiddling his thumbs also.
He was literally standing all alone about 15, 20 yards downfield. Wide to the right comes Mazurko. Wide to the left is Sabraco. Tight to the left is Blasey. In the slot right is Julian. The lone setback is Lorenzo behind Greg Craddock, who drops the throw. He gets away from one man, steps up, fires it downfield. It is caught on a nice catch by Mike Mazurko, coming back to the ball at the 37-yard line at the West G first down.
Yeah, that time Blasey was covered a little better. The Kenston defender seemed a little tentative. He was playing off, I don't know exactly why, but the play must have been sent in from the bench telling Craddock, watch Blasey, because as soon as he started backpedaling and setting up, he had his eyes on Matt Blasey the entire time. He was triple teamed that had been thrown to him.
First and 10, the 37-yard line. Wide to the left comes Blasey. In the slot right is Sterlikar. Now he comes in motion right. Coming in motion left is Sabraco. Blasey comes in tight to the left. Lorenzo left and Julian right in the T. Here's the give to Julian, cutting to the left on the sweep. 40, 35, down to about the 34, maybe the 33. He's knocked out of bounds by Judah Herman, a gain of 4. It'll be second and 6.
It'll be interesting to see, you guys, if Kenston starts adjusting. What I've been watching is they've been only coming with a 4-man rush, and they're trying to really cover the 4 wide receivers, tight ends going out in the pass pattern, and it's just giving Mr. Craddock too much time to roll out and throw the ball.
While we have a timeout on the field, this is a good time for me to remind you that if you want to sell something quickly, get a hold of the Geauga Times Leader advisors. They can really help you. 286-6101 or 564-5707 will put you in touch with somebody who can really help you sell that item or that you need to get rid of quickly. The Geauga Times leader, 286-6101 or 564-5707 for the advisors. The Geauga Times leader, your local newspaper.
You still have that piano for sale, Joe?
No, I don't, as a matter of fact.
Oh, you got rid of it,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. I
Through
got
the
rid of it.
advisors?
Oh, of course.
Okay, very good.
Yes, the hidden commercials still do exist, though. Second down, about 7 yards to go. Actually, we'll call it 6 at the 33-yard line as we come back to action. Wide to the left is Sabraco. Wide to the right is Mazurko. Now Sabraco comes in motion to the right. They have twins now on the right side, and they took too much time. Apparently, with all that motion there, the people who were most confused by it were the West Geauga offensive players who wound up not getting the playoff quickly enough.
I tell you, the center for West Geauga, Bill Van Horn, is doing an excellent job tonight. He's playing up against a nose man that gave the Chagrin center last week all kinds of problems. He's holding them out. We haven't seen Bill Smith for Kenston in the backfield at all tonight, which is even more impressive considering that you got a first-time start out of Mr. Van Horn. Very good job.
It is, especially considering that last week in our CVC game of the week, Bill Smith was a one-man wrecking crew against Chagrin Falls, especially in the second half. Wide to the right comes Sabraco. Wide to the left is Sterlikar. Tight to the right is Blasey. In the backfield now, Julian comes into a slot left, and Lorenzo is the lone setback behind Greg Craddock. Craddock back to throw. Good protection. Fires it over the middle. Caught by Julian. Thrown down at the 36-yard line, I believe, by Judah Herman. And it will be third down at the 36 for West C. Third down, about 6 yards to go.
I have to plead to any Ohio State alumni that may be watching the show tonight, but I would suggest you call up Earl Bruce and tell him to keep an eye on this Judah Herman. I'm really impressed with this kid.
Please tell him he's got to wait 2 more years.
Please tell him that he'd like to see number 16, Darren Walker, there, too. He sounds like a very interesting fellow that I wouldn't mind having on my team. That's it. Rolling to his right is Craddock. Craddock cuts the outside, throws it down the middle. It is caught by Blasey. Blasey is down inside the 10, down to the 9-yard line, and he has a West Geauga first and goal. This first and goal for the Wolverines of West Geauga at the Kenston 9.
I tell you, Mr. Blasey is doing something right tonight. He's getting himself wide open in many instances. I don't know if he's running sharp patterns, it's losing the secondary man off of him or what, but he's been wide open on many occasions.
He sure has. He's been standing there like a house by the side of the road, the lonely house, all night long. The only trouble is nobody's thrown the ball to him yet. That's the first catch he's had, I believe.
Credits to Lionel Richie.
Yes, a brick house. First and goal from the 9-yard line. Craddock gives the ball to Julian. Cutting to the inside. He can't go anywhere. He's cut down by Herman. And Cornacchione, right about the line of scrimmage, maybe lost a yard out to the 10. Let's call it second and goal at the 10-yard line.
I think we got to keep in mind, too, with the field conditions, I'm sure Kenston's playing a very conservative and passive secondary coverage. And I think what Geauga's doing is taking advantage of that. They're running some deep routes and then having Blasey come back to the ball, and that's why it's working.
If you've got a quarterback who can throw the ball well short, those deep zones are really a nightmare for the other teams, frankly. Rolling to the outside, Craddock steps up, fires into the end zone, and it is in and out of the hands. And here comes the flag, and a very well-deserved one on Darren Walker, who tackled Mike Mazurko while the ball was in the air.
I disagree. He had his hand right in front. He kind of played through the man, but I don't think he made contact until his hand hit the ball.
Yeah, I have to go with Nick on that one. Unless there was the hand on the back, which we really couldn't see from this angle, but I seriously didn't think from our viewpoint that it was pass interference either.
It looked to me like he might have had a hand on the back and, used some leverage to, get inside and reach over there. Might have used Mazurko's back as a stepping stone. That's what I thought anyway. But, of course, I've been outvoted 2-1. However, the man who's important agrees with my opinion of the play. And it's first and goal at the 2. I'll take that back. It's not first and goal at the 2. It's probably a half of it. That just penalty now. this year in the new rule in high school football. They'll mark it off, step it off down at the 5. West G will get the ball first and goal at the 5-yard line. I don't know. Is it a down change? Should be a first down.
Yeah, he just signaled first down. There was a long delay on that. Maybe the referees had to read the rule book, too, just to bone up to make sure they knew what they were doing.
Same guy threw the flag.
Yeah. Still waiting for our first overtime game of the year, by the way. That would be interesting. We haven't had one yet. There have been a few of them. They're very controversial. And they give us to John Julian, and Julian got a real nose full of Bill Smith, who asserted his presence, the same presence that he had in the ball game last week on that play right there. A loss of 3. It'll be second and goal from the 8.
You can bet a lot of times when you see a nose guard come in like that, he's gambling a little bit. He just decided to shoot the gap, and sure enough, that's where the ball carrier was headed, and it was just a beautiful play by Mr. Smith.
Well, that time, Bill Smith gambled and came up with a pack full of aces. Second and goal at the 8-yard line. Coming wide to the right is Sabraco. Craddock rolls to his right, looking for a receiver toward the end zone. Steps up, and now he's going to be smothered back outside the 10 at the 13-yard line by Phil Vaughn, and also the ever-present Bill Smith. It's a loss of 5 more. It'll be third and goal for West G out at the Kenston 13.
I'll tell you, I saw Mr. Blasey again hanging near the end of the field. Craddock would have had to put it over the secondary man's head, but he was behind him. Just a higher floating pass could have got to him for a touchdown.
But the Kenston Bombers might have had a little help from their own devices on that sack. Defensive holding against Kenston. That'll bring up, I believe, another first down. It'll be first down all over again for West G, first and goal.
Yeah, again, it's slow placement by the referees. I don't really understand what takes so long. And I don't think many people in the fans, we hear the single voices yelling out, let's get the ball game going.
I think they're trying to measure this out with a warped chalk line or something. I don't know what they're doing out there. But it's, we have seen, not to berate our friends in the striped shirts, but in the 8 games that we've covered this year, actually about 7.5 now, we've seen some awful funny calls. Anyway, we have timeout now for West Geauga as Mike Posguy will come out and talk to the troops here. West Geauga mounting an excellent drive. They've driven from deep in their own territory down inside the Kenston 5-yard line where there's been some wild play, plenty of penalties, all kinds of stuff going on. 2 minutes and 22 seconds to play here in the first half. Kenston leads at 12-0 on a 64-yard first-quarter touchdown run by Ken McClintock and a 5-yard touchdown run in the second quarter by quarterback David Duroff.
Okay, I see on the sideline right now the kicker, Richards, is stretching his legs out and all. It's good to be prepared, but I like to show confidence that the team can get the ball into the end zone. Obviously, Mr. Richards is just taking care of his job, which he should.
Tom Richards ready in the eventuality that this drive comes to a halt, and they call on his services to put 3 points on the board.
Or maybe it is utter confidence. He's warming up for the extra point. I really can't say.
Either way, he'll be in there pretty soon unless they turn the ball over. Second and goal. It is second down. Second and goal from the 5-yard line. Craddock gives the ball to Julian. Julian down to about the 2. Cut down there by Jeff McClintock, I believe that was, and also Phil Vaughn. It'll be third and goal. Let's call it the 2-yard line of Kenston.
Yeah, this is the third West Geauga game we've covered this year, and I must say they're looking fine. This is one of the better drives they've put together in the 3 games we've watched so far.
Third and goal from the 2-yard line. Wide to the left is Sabraco. Wide to the right is Mazurko. Tight to the left is Blasey. Lorenzo up, Julian back in the eye. The give is to Jim Julian, and it's going to be a close call. I think it was stopped just short of the goal line. He was cut down there by Judah Herman. It'll be 4th and goal inside the 1, and it's decision time for Mike Posguy and the West Geauga Wolverines. It looks like they're going to go for it.
Yeah, I see the receiver going in. I don't see number 10, Richards, going in.
Mike Mazurko comes into the ball game with the play. It will be fourth and goal for West G inside the 1-yard line of Kenston. Mazurko comes wide to the right. In the slot right is Sabraco. Tight to the right is Blasey. Craddock fumbles the snap. The ball is loose on the ground, and we're going to have to see who recovered it and where they were. The ball is down. It looks like Kenston comes up with the ball. Or even if West G came up with the ball, they didn't get into the end zone, and the ball goes over to Kenston on downs after a brilliant drive. West Geauga is stopped inside the 1.
Yeah, that was a case of Craddock backing up before he had the ball. He was already, as the ball was coming up, he was taking a backward step, missed the connection that way. Very poor execution by the West Geauga quarterback.
Well, the West Geauga Wolverines have been their own worst enemies, at least when we've seen them, with penalties and turnovers. We saw them, the last time we saw them against Orange, they won the game in every single aspect except the score on the scoreboard. And tonight they just gave away a golden opportunity for 7, and now Kenston, of course, David Duroff will just take the ball right up the middle here with very little time left in the first half, and West G calls a timeout here with 34 seconds to play in half number 1.
You got to believe Kenston's going to be high as a kite now. That was a big play stopping West Geauga from even coming up with a field goal. And a lot of times one play like that's going to change the whole dynamics of the game. One thing that's in West Geauga's favors right now is that we've only got 34 seconds till they go into half, which will help West Geauga, at least help Kenston to temper their enthusiasm over this.
Of course, we will remind you that we will have all the action with the West Geauga and Kenston bands at halftime. So, you know, if you're a band fan, stay tuned for that. We'll have the shows from both bands in their entirety, as we usually do, as we always do. And once again, David Duroff is the ball carrier, and once again, I believe West G will burn a timeout. And they do. That's their second. They have 1 remaining. We've got about 30 seconds to play. You have a time check there, John? I can't see the clock from where
We
I'm
have
at.
29 seconds, Joe.
Well, it was close. 29 seconds to play in the half.
I'll tell you, going back just a little bit, when Coach Posguy decided to go for the 6, I agree with it. At this point in the season, you just got to get back into a game whenever you can. 3 wouldn't have really done it. Other times I've been a proponent of going for the field goal. That time I would have gone for 6. Fortunately, they had a bad execution between quarterback and center. But I think it was a wise choice.
And, gentlemen, the rains have returned. And it is raining very, very hard. That's about the last thing we needed, frankly. Third down, and Kenston will just take it right out again. David Duroff gets out to about the 5, and I believe West Geauga has another timeout left. If they do, they'll burn it. And they don't have any more timeouts left. That'll be the end of the half, I believe.
Yeah, I'm sure they won't even take a snap from center. They got plenty of time to run the clock out without stopping it.
Well, batten down the hatches. It'll be a very wet night for the West Geauga and Kenston bands, and we will have those performances. Our score here at halftime, Kenston 12, West Geauga nothing. Stay tuned for the Kenston and West Geauga bands. Life.
What's the matter with you?
That's the first time I've blown Joe in my life.
yeah. And Julian takes the ball at the goal line, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, out to about the 27, 28-yard line. Tackled then by a horde of Kenston players there, number 95, Darryl Wodecki, right there in on the play, the kicker. It'll be 1st and 10 from the 27-yard line for West G.
It'll be interesting to see if West G goes to conservative play calling. They didn't follow at all. They put the ball in the air quite a bit, ran out of the tailback position with Julian. I expect to see just a little more of Lorenzo and the other fullback position more.
Wide to the left comes Mike Mazurko. In the slot right is Blasey. Craddock gives the ball to Julian. Coming to the outside, Julian down to the 29, maybe the 30-yard line. Cut down there by Bill Smith, number 42, and also number 40, Jeff McClintock. A gain of about 3. Let's call it 2nd and 7.
Well, Kenston, they're going to let West Geauga run east and west all night. They don't care. You can watch the cornerbacks are coming out and just playing containment-type defense, trying to turn everything in. It's because they know they have a strong linebacker core to take advantage of it.
2nd down, let's call it 7 for the West Geauga Wolverines. Wide to the left is Sterlikar. Back to throw Craddock. Now under heavy pressure from Wodecki. Gets away from another man. Wodecki's cut off by Bill Van Horn, and Craddock's going to run the ball 30-35 out to about the 37-yard line. He is very, very close to what he needs for a West Geauga first down and may have it. We'll find out the answer to that very, very shortly. And it is a West Geauga first down. 1st and 10 for the Wolverines at the West G 37-yard line.
I tell you, in that case, there was nobody open downfield. Craddock's only alternative was to do the scramble, which he executed rather well in that instant.
I'll have to change my call on that block. It was Todd Beninati who cut down Wodecki, not Bill Van Horn. 1st and 10 from the 37-yard line. Wide to the left comes Sabraco. Wide to the right is Mike Mazurko. Tight to the left is Blasey. It's Lorenzo left and Julian right in the T. Craddock to throw. Back in the pocket, steps up, fires. It is underthrown, badly underthrown. Intended for Matt Sabraco at midfield. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Again, Sabraco was open wide, and like Joe said, it was just a badly underthrown pass.
I don't know about you gentlemen, but I'd sure like to see some blitzing linebackers out of Kenston. I think if they would be a little more aggressive and come after Craddock, I think they'd make some things happen. I understand the conservative drops, but I'd like to see him mix it up once in a while.
2nd down, let's call it 10. In the slot right, Sabraco, it comes in motion left. Sterlikar is wide to the left. Blasey tight to the right. The give is to John Julian, and Julian gets to about the 39, maybe the 40-yard line. Gain of about 2 or 3. Let's call it 3rd and make it 7 yards to go for West G.
It seems West G has forgot they have other running backs in the field, though I've noticed Lorenzo is one fine lead blocker. He's built like a fire plug, comes around and does fine lead blocking for him, but I'm sure he has a lot of power in that compact body to carry the ball for ball yardage.
And I don't know about you, but I liked what I saw in previous weeks of Tom Richards, and he's been conspicuously absent in this ball game. Wide to the right is Sabraco. Wide to the left is Mazurko. Back to throw, Craddock. Rolling to his right under heavy pressure. Gets away from one man. Dumps it upfield. It's caught by Blasey at the 45. He's down at the 46 by Judah Herman. And I believe he's about a yard short of a West G first down. And that'll force a punt by the Wolverines.
Yeah, again, we had a back open long before that. Lorenzo came, did a little hook pattern over the middle out of the backfield. Was standing there with nobody within 8-10 yards of him, but he could have easily crossed over for first down. Craddock didn't pick him up.
Nick Dwyer will do the punting once again for West G. Deep to receive, Darren Walker, number 16. Tony Rhea, number 22. They're standing right around the Kenston 20-yard line. Dwyer gets the snap. It's a low kick. Hits at about the 30, 25, rolls inside the 20, still rolling. Rolls dead inside the 15 at about the 14-yard line of Kenston. So once again, not a pretty punt by Mick Dwyer, but a very effective one. He got 40 yards out of it once again with no return.
Yeah, now it turns under the West G defense. They've got him back in a hole a little bit. They got to hold him back there, get the ball back in decent field position, make a ball game of it.
1st and 10 at the 14-yard line for Kenston. And wide to the left comes Judah Herman. And in the slot left, or tight to the left is Wodecki. Tight to the right is Vaughn. The give, I believe, is to Bob Leach, or it's Tewksbury, rather. Drew Tewksbury in the game. I believe that's the first time we've called his number. He picked up about a yard at 2nd and 9.
That play was designed just to get the offense in motion, to sure hand off to the fullback, just to let everybody get warmed up. I think we'll see him start mixing it up on this next play call here.
2nd down, let's call it 8 yards to go for Kenston. Wide to the right comes Walker. Tight to the left is Wodecki. Tight to the right is Andy Gerd. And back to throw is Duras. Over the middle, caught by Wodecki, 25 out to the 26-yard line. Tackled there by Bill Coach, number 11. And I believe that he has enough for a Kenston first down. He does. It's 1st and 10 for Kenston at the 26-yard line.
Again, that's one of Kenston's favorite pass plays. Duras fakes a dive, rolls to the right, and then Wodecki comes from the backside and cutting in front of the linebackers. It's a sure play, and Duras kept his composure and threw a nice strike.
1st and 10 for Kenston at the 26-yard line of Kenston. Wide to the left is Walker. Tight to the left is Gerd. Tight to the right, Wodecki. Here's the give to Ken McClintock across the 30 out to the 32. He's stopped there by Mike Mazurko after about a 6-yard gain. It'll be 2nd down. Let's call it 4 for the Bombers.
Yeah, I've noticed something, Nick. Young McClintock has that big desire where he figures every play should go for a touchdown. He slapped his side on that one because he was tackled. You notice that?
Yeah, that's instinctive of aggressive ball carriers, and that coach loves to see that.
2nd down and about 4. Walker wide to the left. They give us to Bob Lurch, and Lurch is thrown down right at the 36-yard line for no gain. Tackled on a nice play, and it'll be 3rd down, and let's call it about 6. While we have a break in the action, I think John was getting ready to pick up something and read a couple of things there. Am I right or wrong, John?
Wrong, Joe.
Wrong is wrong again. Oh, that's really. I will tell you that we've had an interesting season, I think, covering CBC football. We've had a lot of fun. We've had some real good games, and I'll tell you, things are coming down to the wire here in the Chagrin Valley Conference. Of course, at the end of by the time you see this broadcast, we will know what happened between Chardon and Wycliffe tonight. We'll also know what happened tonight to the Solon Comets. Of course, Chardon and Solon are the only 2 undefeated teams in the CBC right now, and Wycliffe is right behind them with 1 loss. And those 3 teams are really battling it out here in the final weeks of the season for this conference championship. Well, we're back to action. It's 3rd down. Let's call it about 6 yards to go. And in the slot left is Walker. Back to throw. Duras under heavy pressure. Dumps the ball to Walker. 30, 35, out to the 37-yard line. I do not believe I'm not sure whether he picked up enough for the first down. It's very, very close. Nick Lorenzo made the tackle. We may need a measurement. It is very, 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 very close.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit short, Joe, myself.
We are going to have a measurement here.
I'd say about a foot short is my prediction.
I think, looking at it from my vantage point, that you might be right, John.
Wow.
Let's see what we find here. Honing in on that measurement, and yeah, boy, you've got sharp eyes, John, let me tell you.
13 inches. John.
It's off by an inch, John. It'll be 4th down for Kenston. They've got about a foot to go, and this may be surprising, but it looks like they're going to go for it here.
I don't think I would. I don't care what kind of a power game he got or something like that. I wouldn't give West Geauga the ball with decent field advantage. It's turning the momentum back to them if they happen to hold them.
You say it's some pretty questionable strategy in this situation with Kenston totally in control of the game. They may get away with it, but they're also giving West G a golden opportunity to get right back in it.
Yeah, I guess that's just the Kenston coach having confidence in his strong running backs. But still, in this situation, I don't think I'd go for it.
4th down, about a foot, and if West G ever had a golden opportunity, they have it right now. That is assuming that they're not trying to draw West G offside. And they're not. They're going to run the play, and they give it to McClintock, and he gets the first down. Now he loses the football,
I think the whistle
blew it down.
Yeah, referee's marking it down back where his knees touch.
They're marking it down back at the 39-yard line, saying that McClintock lost the ball after he hit the ground, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Kenston at the Kenston 39-yard line.
Real credit to the Kenston ball club for with the face Coach Cabal just showed there, and it was a gutsy call. Now, they've kind of insulted West Geauga at this point, and we'll see what kind of effect it has on them.
Wide to the left comes Walker. Tight to the left is Gerd. Tight to the right is Wodecki. Here's the give to Ken McClintock. He's crossed the 40 out to about the 42-yard line. Cut down there by Paul Powers, the linebacker. A gain of about 3, let's call it. It'll be second down, 7. The clock rolls down here in the third quarter, and Kenston has the 12-0 lead that they had here at halftime. Try to take a look and see how much time we have left on the clock. I can't see the clock from where I'm at. 4:55 to play here in the third quarter.
4:51.
Okay, now it's 4:51, as John Walsh said. 12-0. Durock loses the snap on the handle, and loses the handle on the snap.
I think one of the backs fell on it, Joe.
I believe he fell on it himself. And it's a loss back to about the 40-yard line. Loss of 2. Let's call it third down and 9 for the Kenston Bombers.
Yeah, you could stomach the losses, too. It's the loss of the ball that's critical at this point.
Exactly. Third down and 9 yards to go for Kenston. As they break the huddle, moving toward the muddiest part of the field, right up around the 50-yard line. Wide to the left is Walker. Actually, he's in the slot left. Tight to the left is Gerd. Tight to the right, Wodecki. The give on a counter play to Walker. Breaks a couple of tackles. 45 midfield. 45 run out of bounds at about the 42-yard line, I believe. Now they're going to mark it back up toward the 46, I think. So it's going to be at the 46-yard line. Either way, it will be a first down for Kenston.
Again, that was a counter play to Walker. They ran the first quarter. This time, though, West Geauga had it defended outside, but Walker's missed his running. He cut it back to the inside, then back out. It was an excellent run by Darren Walker.
I believe you called would see that play again this game, too, Mitch.
First and 10, the 46-yard line, and David Duroth gives the ball to McClintock. Big hole, 45-40, down to the 39-yard line. He is cut down finally by number 19, Chris Veras, and it will be second down and about 4 yards to go for Kenston after that gain by Ken McClintock.
I think the West Geauga team is just getting cold and wet out.